Redemption and rebirth. How the city transforms collapse into new beginnings. Every collapse carries a hidden possibility. Every moment of breaking contains the seed of transformation. In the city of London, a place defined by pressure, ambition, and relentless momentum, collapse is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of something else, something quieter but infinitely more powerful. The city may push people to their limits, but also offers them a rare chance to reinvent themselves. Within the chaos of burnout, failure, or crisis lies a potential for redemption and rebirth. To understand this process, you must first understand the emotional aftermath of collapse. When someone breaks under the weight of the city, the world they constructed, the identity built on performance, the pride built on endurance, the validation built on achievement, begins to crumble. It is a painful unraveling. The facade of invincibility disappears. Confidence fractures. Purpose disintegrates. People confront a question they avoided for years. Who am I without the work that defines me? The hollow silence that follows this question can be terrifying. Many people who experience collapse describe it as a moment when everything feels empty, not only their calendar, but their identity. They suddenly face a void they spent years ignoring. But within that void lies freedom. For the first time, they must rebuild not from expectation, but from truth. Rebirth often begins slowly, almost invisibly. A morning walk taken without checking emails. A conversation with a loved one that feels real for the first time in months. A moment of rest that does not feel guilty. These small acts, insignificant on the surface, become the first cracks of light entering a dark room. The mind begins to breathe again. The body begins to relax. The self begins to return. Perhaps the most important part of rebirth is reflection. Collapse forces people to examine their values, their choices, their sacrifices. They begin to understand the price they paid for success, the missed experiences, the strained relationships, the suppressed passions. They realize how much of their identity was tied to their role, their title, their performance. Slowly, they begin dismantling the internal structures that no longer serve them. For some, reflection leads to rediscovery. They reconnect with talents they abandoned: writing, music, design, exploration, creativity. They remember dreams they postponed. They rediscover who they were before the city demanded everything from them. For the first time in years, they see themselves not as assets, but as human beings with complex needs and desires. Rebirth is not only personal, it often becomes communal. Many people who experience collapse become sources of wisdom for others. They share their stories, offering guidance to colleagues who are silently struggling. They mentor younger professionals, teaching them to navigate ambition with balance. They build teams that value well-being over output, authenticity over performance. Their collapse becomes a catalyst for cultural change. Some institutions evolve through these individual transformations. Leaders who personally experience burnout begin rethinking their organizations. They redesign workloads. They introduce humane policies. They protect their teams from unnecessary pressure. They challenge toxic norms. They create environments where vulnerability is accepted, where asking for help is encouraged, where emotional intelligence is valued as much as technical skill. These leaders become architects of a city that is not only productive, but sustainable. But redemption is not limited to those who return to the city. For many, rebirth means leaving entirely. They build new lives outside finance, opening cafes, starting creative ventures, launching nonprofits, teaching, traveling, raising families. They trade the adrenaline of global markets for the serenity of purpose. They replace the pursuit of status with the pursuit of meaning. They find fulfillment in simpler rhythms. And through their departure, they show others that freedom exists beyond the boundaries of the square mile. Still, for many who remain, the city becomes a different place. Not a battlefield, but a profession. Not a mission, but a craft. They learn to work with discipline instead of obsession. They give their best without giving everything. They replace the fear of falling behind with the satisfaction of doing meaningful work. They learn to celebrate success without letting it define them. And they bring this new energy into the city, quiet and steady, like the tide reshaping a shoreline. This process of collapse and rebirth is not unique to individuals. Institutions within the city experience it too. Markets crash, firms fail, regulations tighten, systems break. Yet each collapse forces innovation. Each failure exposes weaknesses and inspires reform. Each crisis becomes an opportunity to rebuild the system stronger, safer, and more resilient. The city's evolution is a long sequence of collapses and rebirths, a cycle as old as finance itself. Consider the aftermath of the financial crisis. The city faced public outrage, political scrutiny, and internal chaos. But through this collapse came reinvention. Risk models improved, oversight strengthened, transparency increased, technology advanced, entire sectors matured. The city emerged not unscarred but transformed. Crisis became a teacher, not an executioner. The pattern repeats through history. Wars, recessions, technological disruptions. Each becomes a moment of profound restructuring. Rebirth also occurs at the societal level. The city's influence on culture shifts after each era of collapse. People question the meaning of work. They reevaluate the role of finance in society. They push for ethics, sustainability, and human-centered systems. Social expectations transform. The city slowly adapts, integrating new values into its identity. It becomes both a participant in societal evolution and a reflection of it. Redemption in the city is not about erasing the past. It is about learning from it. The scars people carry, burnout, failure, regret, become markers of wisdom. The scars institutions carry, crises, scandals, mistakes, become foundations for reform. Redemption requires honesty. It requires the courage to confront what went wrong and the humility to begin again. The city thrives because it never stops reinventing itself. And each reinvention is driven not by markets, but by people. People who rise after falling, who rebuild after breaking, who transform collapse into awakening. The emotional resilience of the city is mirrored in the emotional resilience of its workers. It is shaped by their tears as much as by their triumphs, by their breakdowns as much as by their breakthroughs. The city's greatest secret is that its strength does not come from perfection. It comes from regeneration, from the ability to evolve, from the willingness to rebuild, from the understanding that collapse is not failure, but transition. The city's legacy is a testament to the power of rebirth, the power to begin again with deeper insight, clearer purpose, and greater humanity. In the next episode of Cinematic London Finance Chronicles, we explore the future of human potential inside the city, how automation, AI, and digital transformation will reshape careers, redefine skills, and challenge our understanding of what it means to be valuable. Subscribe and continue the journey into the unseen forces shaping our world.